So we're recording now, so everything's on the record. Today we'll be going over the core Pulse and Sense module. So that's the standard out of the box, what's comes with Prism. If you've got any questions about any of the additional modules, the add-on modules like the sales and the risk or HR components, we can field those questions. But Mason will be going over the core component in this demo. And I just want to hand it over to Mason, and he can get going.
Thanks, Will. So first off, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so first off, what is Pulse? Pulse is basically just two different things to it. It's number one, it's our main CRM, and it has a lot of CRM components to it. And it also is a workflow management system. And the best way to describe that is it's a way to take your processes that are on paper or maybe just in somebody's head and put it into your software. So I'm going to show a little bit on both of those. I'll go through the CRM aspects, and then I'll flip over and I'll show you guys the workflow stuff, and then I'll end with the business intelligence reporting tool. So just feel free to stop me at any point and ask me questions. And if I don't know the answer, then Will definitely knows the answer. So we'll take care of you guys. All right. So we're going to start off here on the dashboard, and you're going to see some widgets like open case by priority, so we can see what our current caseload looks like, and we can also see over here any of the escalated cases we have, and right now I only have one. And a neat thing about this dashboard is it's actually completely customizable by role. So right now I'm logged in as a client service user, and therefore I'm seeing widgets that relate to client service. But if I was logged in as, let's say, like a human resources user instead, we could configure this to have human resources widgets, maybe like a new hire visualization and information that would be important to somebody in that role. But for here, as somebody in the client service role, we've also got a quick view into our cases down here, as well as the tasks that we have active and our favorite workspaces, so we can jump right into those. Now, cases and tasks. Cases are basically any issue that needs to be resolved or maybe a project that needs to be worked on. So whenever your client needs to get in touch with you, it'll be through a case. And these can be created automatically or manually, and I'll kind of touch on that. I'll show you how to create one and maybe show you an example of an existing one. And then we also have tasks, and those are generally like the children of the case. So a case could have several tasks associated with it. And that's like your to-do list. It's the items that need to be done. All right, so first from a navigational standpoint, we have our dashboard, and then we have our inbox, and this is where you're going to receive notifications about your cases and tasks. And these can also be sent to email. So you can have it come here, or you can have it come to email, or you can do both. And this is also a good spot to show that this is a responsive design Pulse does. So if we take it and make it like the size of a phone, there we go. You're going to see that this is going to scale so that if you were out on a site, it's easy to pull this up on your phone. You can drill into the case and you can see what's going on the fly. We also have some calendar functionality. This will hook up with both Gmail and Outlook calendars, and you can see your client or your Pulse events here, so events that were scheduled in Pulse itself, and it will kind of overlay those with your external events. So I don't have it set up with my calendar right now, but if I did, you would see all my events as well as the Pulse events kind of overlaid with it. And then across the top here, we have our global search module, so we can search through by organization, contacts, employees, etc. on a global level. But now let's dive into organizations. And organizations are essentially like the building blocks of Pulse, or your CRM component of Pulse. And let me drill into one of these. It can be a lot of things. So it could be a client, it could be a lead, it could be a prospect. It's anybody that you meet and you want to take record of. And you're going to put all that main detail here in the organizational detail record. So this is just a really high level view of what you need to know about this organization. You see, like the address and all that good stuff. And then what you can do is, actually, first off, over here, you're also going to see your contacts associated with this organization. We can drill down. You can see the activities or the tasks that currently need to be done. You can see any appointments you have upcoming with this organization, and then any tasks or attachments down here. And then from this spot, you can actually drill right into the workspace. And a good way to think about the workspace, like a good metaphor, is that if all of your client information is in like a manila folder, then this workspace is essentially like the sticky notes that are on top of that. So it's your quick view into what you need to know about this client. And the top here is going to be full of quick view widgets, and these are customizable, so this information can be what you need it to be. And it's also customizable by role, so it could be different depending on who is actually looking at this. So right now, we just have information that's important for somebody that would be helping this client or servicing this client. Like the team of the client side, so you can see who works for them. You can see some employee information, who your primary contacts are, and then you have a nice little breakdown of the types of cases that you generally get from this client. And then down here below, you're going to see your cases currently for this client, as well as some other tiles down here where you can drill into some more expanded aspects of this client. So if we click on human resources, we can actually drill down into the employees that are currently with this client. And then from there, we can even drill into this record and we can see all the data associated with that employee. We also have the concept of the employment record here, and this is basically, this is job-related information related to this employee. So you have like your location, the title, your suit of state, all of that is stored in here as well. All right, so let me jump back to the main client workspace here.
Comes from Prism?
Yeah, did you ask if this is coming from Prism?
Yeah.
Will, do you know if this employee information is pushing from Prism yet?
Yeah, everything that's grayed out is all housed in Prism, and that's the official like system of record. Anything that's going to be white and not grayed out is things that you are able to maintain or change within Pulse. So on the employees record, it is all maintained in Prism.
Okay. So if we go back up to the workspace here, you can actually manage some stuff right here. So let's say that we need to visit this client. We need to see what's going on, and maybe we need to take a work comp safety visit because they've had a lot of claims coming in, and we want to make sure that the conditions on their site look good. So we can click here, and you're going to see the record of every visit that we've done with this client. And from here, we could add a new one. So you could choose what department you want to go. So in this instance, it'd be like a risk visit, and we could choose a visit type. So it's like we could do a work comp safety visit. And right now we don't have it set up in our demo account, but you can have these visit goals auto-populate based on your visit type. So if you always have 3 steps or 3 things that you're looking at every time you do a work comp visit, you can have this populate right here. You can also put in things like the visit date, and that's awesome for workflow type aspects, and I'll show that a little bit in just a moment. But so you could set up workflow on this so you could have people notified that this visit's upcoming or the day that it's due or whatever you wanted to do there. And then what's really neat about this visit portion is that you can also record the results of the visit. So you can record the client temperature. So you can say if it's green, red, or yellow. Red, obviously being that it didn't go well. And what's neat is that you can set up escalation templates with this, so that if you record that this was red, then you could have maybe your manager notified and any executives that maybe need to call and try to save this or see what's going on. So you can have workflow set up based on what's set in this temperature as well. And then you can record any details from this visit that you deem as pertinent. Okay, so let's back up to the workspace for a moment. And then from the workspace, you can also just create cases on the fly. So if we say add a case, and it's very similar to what we just saw in the visits, you're going to pick your category. So I don't know, let's say that we want to set up a case for a new employee. So we'll do human resources, we'll do type is a new hire. Okay, you can choose the employees it's associated with, you can choose the priority, and you can have escalations set up with this priority too. So if it's a medium, maybe you say that you have 2 days to answer this, or it becomes escalated to a high, and then they have another day to answer this, or then at that point it gets escalated to critical, and then certain people are notified at every step. So you can kind of stagger those escalations as well. And then these cases can be entered manually, and it can also be done automatically by a workflow, so that when a certain event happens or when a certain value is changed, then these cases are automatically triggered. We're just entering this manually right now. And then you can choose a due date, you can enter, you can put in a subject, and then again on description, that's going to be auto-populated based on type here. That's just another thing that we don't actually have set up. So you can have this description for every single type if you wanted to. All right. So from there, let me talk a little bit about workflows and the different things that you can do with those. So we'll go from here. We can go to System Admin and go into workflow channels. And you're going to see a few different ones here, but a really good example of workflows is a pay rate change. Let's dig into that. Okay. So what this workflow is going to do is it's going to look at this field hourly rate, and the operator is dirty. And what that means is that the hourly rate has been changed. And whenever that hourly rate is changed, a task is going to be triggered. So we'll go on, and then this is the subject in the body of the message that's going to be sent to whoever is receiving this task. So it's going to have a substitution variable that includes that employee ID, has had a pay rate change, and then it notifies them the benefit rates may need to be updated. You can choose a category for it. You can choose that priority like we talked about, and then you can also choose who this is going to be assigned to. So right now we have it being assigned to the payroll specialist. From there, you can also have additional users that are notified as this goes on. So right now, Rob and Will are in the know, and they're going to be notified as this process goes along. All right, and then we also have the ability to add conditions to these workflows here too. So let's say that we only want this workflow to be triggered when it involves full-time employees. We're not concerned with part-time employees. So here we can add this. We'll go into the field and we can choose employment type. And then we'll do operator is equals value full-time. And now only in the event that this employee is full-time will this case or the task actually be triggered based on this workflow. All right. So what's kind of neat about this is that you can also stack other workflows on top of this so that we can have another task that's triggered when that task is done, so that you can continually kind of daisy chain these workflows to where you can have more complicated processes that are built out. And you can view that. Let me go back up to the visualization here. Right here, you can go to visualize, and you can look at the pathway of that workflow as you go along. So pay rate change is just one example, but we also have a couple other ones in here for new worksite location, new hire. There's a lot of different things you can do with these workflows. And then the last major portion of BasePulse is the reporting tool. So we'll go there and look at some of the reports that we have built. So let's say, for example, we want to look at my open cases. So we can open that. And then from here, we're going to get a quick view of all the cases that are open by client for me. And what's really neat about this is that some people can use these as like a living or working document. So you can have this up all day, and as you're working on it, you can just actually click directly on a case number, and it's going to drill you right into it. So if you have this report up all day, you can complete tasks and do cases and then refresh it, and this is going to kind of be your working spreadsheet. So that's a good example of a report. Let's see if there's any other good ones here. We could also, here's a good one. We could look at my department's open cases by status. There's a lot you can do with this, and you can write these reports all custom. So there's a lot you can do. And we also include the concept of dashboards, and it's like a cumulative view of reports. If you know, one report's great, but what if I want to look at a bunch at one time? That's definitely something you can do here. So now we have this dashboard full of reports. So maybe you want to look at your case count by client, or your top clients with open tasks, so kind of your problem points there. Or maybe you want to look at your critical cases by department. Looks like we're doing okay right now. And you'll see some other visuals here. So open case count by department, closed case count by department, and then your escalated cases. And what's neat about this dashboard is that right now we're looking at from a full company level, but we can also drill down and look at it from a department level. So if we go here, now it's kind of a smaller set of data, and it's for a department. And you'll notice that these widgets are different. So you can actually set up different widgets for every view. So now we have an open case count by person. So we can see who has the majority of these cases. You can look at here, you can see the open task by service associate. So we can see whose to-do list is the largest. We can look at who's got open critical cases. And then we've got some different graphs down here, or different widgets, so we can see other information as we need it. And then you can even drill this down to MyPulse, which is just information related to this user. And again, we have a whole separate set of widgets here. So we can look at what my open cases are comprised of. We can look at my open tasks, my escalations, all that good stuff. And again, you can set these up completely customizable by view here. And that's really the really high level flyover of PulseBase. Is there anything that you guys want me to drill into more, or do you have any questions?
I got a question, Mason. My question is, so we have cases that we're opening up tickets on, or we're opening up cases, and then we have a team resolving cases. Is there a searchable library of the case resolved cases, so someone can go search it to see if they can find something that somebody else ran into that they resolved? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, absolutely. So you can definitely do like just a mass search for all cases here. Well, I'm actually got it filtered to just John. And if you drill in, I believe that you'll be able to see, maybe not. Will, do you know if there's a way that you can actually see the resolution?
Yeah.
I hit
so
the name.
Yeah, you're looking into unresolved cases, so there's not going to be resolution in those. So there's the more on the search. You can drop down the more next to the blue search icon. You can filter this by different type. So if you want to see it as closed or resolved, you'll be able to search for all the completed ones and then have all the resolutions. You can also build reports to also maybe display the resolution field, right, in one place, so you can also see it as well. And you can filter those reports based on different criteria if you need to. So there's multiple ways.
Yeah, we want to see the completed cases, and the reason we want to do that is essentially we don't want to have two, people try to work through resolving the same case. So if one person was the pioneer and resolved the case, and then the second person runs into that same issue, they can go search the completed. I don't know if you could show us. Yeah, then they can see how it was resolved. So can you just show us the completed?
Yeah, Mason, just go to status and drop it down to completed, and then hit search. We don't have any completed for this client. So go maybe search down, and also if you go back to the search menu again, the more.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And click all at the top.
See, and search again. There we go.
So there are some that are completed that we actually archived, which is like a way to store it. But you can drill into the details.
All right, let's take a look at one of them. Let's see what the case was, how it was solved, and just so we can try to follow along here.
So in this example, the case is the employee Bill called with some questions about his handbook, and we called him back and delivered a response to the question. This is not necessarily a problem that needs a unique resolution. It's just a reassignment of work. But essentially, you would have these map to whatever the problem is, and then the resolution is how that problem was resolved.
Are the subjects? I know it's probably you can handwrite in the subject. I mean, is there a way to tag our cases to certain categories within the company or certain departments? So if it's an HR case, it can be tagged to the HR department. How do we do all that?
Yep. So you see the category at the top is labeled as HR. There's a type, so like a subcategory as well. That's handbook and policy questions. Those are all definable by you, so you can have them correlate to whatever it is that your categories are, how you want to categorize them, and then the step further is that type. So this type is what could be used to automate being assigned to the right person. So maybe it's the HR rep for that specific client, right? That's the way that you can automate the assign to, so that you can always assign it to the correct person. That type could also pre-populate that subject line. It could also be free-form, where you just type in whatever subject is that you want it to be. It could pre-populate the description, or you could free-form fill in the description. So again, there are options based on how you want to be able to do this.
Sounds good.
Our demo site doesn't have, tons and tons of different examples, but there are many different ways for you to be able to handle it.
So just to recap on these grayed out areas, well, this is grayed out because it's closed, right? Case is closed.
Exactly.
You don't want to go and edit it. Locked. Okay.
Exactly.
Is there a way to reopen a case in case it's really wasn't resolved all the way or something?
There is. On the workflow section on the right, there's the reactivate, and you'll be able to reopen it, and you can reopen it again. So Mason, if you want to click that. And then it's going to reopen it and allow you to make those changes.
All right, and then if someone else is working on the case, does it log that there was someone else that had to reopen it, maybe a supervisor, manager, something like that? How does it track that?
You see that on the top left, that kind of like, it just went away, but Mason just got a new notification. So if you go into that inbox now, Mason got a notification that the handbook and policy question case got reopened and updated. And so there's a log of this, plus the people who are involved will get notified.
Okay, so where do you see
Anytime
that?
changes occur, there's
Yeah.
an update log, as well as a notification that gets triggered by it.
So where's the update log? Is that like a running log inside the case? So it's like a running
It is.
notes log or
There's
something?
yes, and then also, Mason, can you actually go make a change to this, and it'll actually show you. So
Yeah. Let me,
change the
maybe that's
priority to
different
low or
user.
something,
all right.
and then hit save. He'll get another notification, and it'll tell him in that notification what the change is, and as well as part of an audit log, it will also update the that the change was
So I
made.
just want to see, where's the audit log? Where's the log showing all the different stuff? You know, where it was open, closed, open.
All right, I'm not sure if that's actually configured for this user to be able to see. Mason, can you scroll down? There's an admin section at the bottom. Right, yeah, right there, case audit. So all of those items are there where it's showing those.
Okay. But it doesn't
There's a more
really show
detailed-
who did what in the case.
The user he's logged in is called developer, so that's the username.
Okay.
So it's showing him that the username developer is what made the change. There's also a more significant audit log that's more of a report
Okay.
that shows like more granular
Can we
data.
check out a report? Can we look up this case in a report?
Yeah, you can. I don't think we have that. Let me look to, Mason, can you go to the business intelligence again and look to see if there's that case audit log report? It's enabled.
Absolutely.
It doesn't look like. Can you go into search and just type in audit?
Yep.
I'm not sure
I don't think that's it.
That's not it. It looks like it's not actually configured on this demo account to have that audit history, but if you just pull up a basic audit report, or rather a basic customer service case report, we can show some of the details that get reported on. So essentially you
I'm just
define
thinking as a supervisor, I'd like to go and inspect cases, and I'd like to be able to pull it up and kind of see what happens in a case if I need to. That's why I'm curious about it.
Yeah, so the way that you would do it is you'd have like a listing of cases like this, maybe to all the people who report to you, or maybe everything that's relevant to the department you're in. You'd be able to define what fields within that case you want to include in the report. There's going to be a bunch that are standard out of the box, but you can customize those. You click the case number in the report, and it launches right into the case itself. So you can drill right into it, and then you can see. Normally what people are going to be doing is you'll be seeing either the descriptions updating, or if you scroll down a little bit, there's a notes section that you'll be able to have the people who will be taking notes and being added. That's audited. And then the case audit is when the statuses and the critical parts of the case are changing.
All right, so if we go back to the report section, can we just like look up closed cases in a specific department?
We got a closed case by department this month.
And then you could probably change the time period at the top.
So where's my list of case? So where's the list of cases so I can see what the cases are that were closed?
It's on the bottom. We only have one in this example.
We only have one. Okay, so it'd be a list on the bottom. Okay, there we go.
And then he does open the time period up to be longer, so now there's even more.
Okay, yeah, that is pretty cool, because then if we have to inspect a specific case or go find a case, then we could do it this way. All right, that looks good. What else you got?
And again, so a lot of these are out of the box. And they may not be perfect for your use case, and you can always edit them and change it, right? So there's a lot of flexibility here for you to make this your own, and to dial it into the way that your organization operates.
Got it.
You guys have any other questions?
Oh, you can just show us what else you got. What else does it do?
So a lot of this is, so we've got some standard workflows and some standard things that are applicable to a large portion of our client base, but this is really designed to be configured to match whatever your use cases are, whatever it is that you want your processes to be. What is most popular?
Yeah, so like if we want to configure a workflow for like a new client, how do we do that in here? How do we put those pieces together? So we know we got to go through 10 steps to get a new client set up. So where can we do that? New client implementation 3008.
Yeah. So the new client implementation one is a workflow that whenever a new client is entered, you want to build out a workflow or something. So Mason, if you can drill into that real quick. What's happening is we've defined some basic steps. You can drill in again to the next one, and it's going to be based on specific triggers. So in this case, it's whenever the action of the contract signed button has been clicked, the status of contract signed occurs, then it's going to create all of this. And you can then start creating additional workflow. Right now, it's really just one step in this example. But once the contract signed status is equal to yes, then it's going to trigger some content. And the next page, the content is being pre-populated with this body and the subject. It's actually assigning it to the current user. So whoever is the one who clicked the contract sign button, but that could be assigned to somebody on the client service team. It's really up to you to define it how you want. And you can just continue to go adding additional steps. Like on the right, there's that continue workflow from here button, where I can then say, you know what, after this step is complete, I want to add a next step. And you just build them on top of one another. Or
so
you can build them all.
How do you add additional steps? Click on continue workflow from here?
Exactly. And I define what the step is. The step is, step 2. And you can continue building it up.
So if you click on field, what are our choices under field? Workflow action, what is that?
So in this case, it's going to be when the workflow for the previous one was complete is when you want this to trigger. Yeah. Generally speaking, you may want it to say when the process is, when it's complete versus when it's on hold. You may want to trigger different things based on how you want to delegate.
All right,
after.
So here's what I'm envisioning, guys. We got a new client, the contract signed, so we got a new client. So now our implementation manager needs to go ahead and go through 10 steps to set up the client. And they need like a 10-step workflow, but it might, take different directions depending on what that new client's being onboarded for. So it's as simple as maybe a new client's just payroll, nothing else. Maybe that new client is payroll and workers' comp. And there's steps involved to get them set up for payroll. So then if they click yes, they're signed up for payroll, and then we're going to need a workflow to basically show them how to do, set up the payroll or what steps to follow, right?
Yeah.
So what this
also
does?
Essentially, it can. So what you're describing is actually we've got an add-on module that really works with our sales component that is essentially a project management tool that does what you're describing much more elegantly and allows you to really get that granular process of a project plan created based on the contract type of the client. So if it's payroll only versus full service PEO versus, an ASO or something like that, you may have different processes. That's what that implementation add-on is for, because it's baking all this stuff out and giving you some additional project management functionality.
All right. What do you think that this workflow over here would be best used for?
This workflow is best used for day-to-day operational things, like when an employee moves from one state to another, notifying an internal user. The most commonly used one will be when an employee changes their direct deposit account or when a direct deposit account changes in general, assign somebody internally a task to double check it, automatically email the employee an email that says, your direct deposit account's changed. Please contact us if you didn't do it. That type of stuff is really what this is used most frequently for, and what you get the best value out of it. What it's also used for is when you've got that multi-department, multi-team process, like someone going from part-time to full-time. They might have just become benefits eligible, so you may need to talk from a benefits perspective. You may need to review their job description or something like that from an HR perspective, so you want to loop in the HR person. And then payroll just needs to make sure that, hey, there's going to be a full-time person there. Their hours might be changing just to keep them in the loop. So you would just potentially can notify 3 different people.
Something changes with employee data. So if something changes in the computer, this is all tied, these workflows are tied to a change on, for instance, an employee. So an employee had something change on their data and it triggers these workflows, essentially. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that could be part of it. Or if the data equals something specific, like trigger something when these 3 conditions are met, you can do that too. So like there's there's a whole slew of them. Like a lot of the popular ones are the ones I mentioned, or when the client adds a new worksite location, right? So there's a new worksite location, you want to trigger the task to tell the tax team, and maybe licensing, you need to get involved in that perspective, just to be proactive and then communicate to all the right people at the right time.
Okay. So now you said for sales management contracts, if we go back to because you can answer questions on sales management, right?
Yep. So there's that add-on module of sales that takes your contract types, what I was describing earlier, and automates generation of pricing, generates proposals, which then flows into that implementation component that sets up the workflows for your project plans.
So if we have at our website, a customer signs up for a service, we get an email, and then we're like, okay. So then we call that client, introduce ourselves, and say, we're going to send out, thanks for, wanting to sign up for our services, and we just kind of get them all warm and fuzzy, and we're like, we're going to send out contracts through this system, the sales management system. The contract, we kind of figure out what service is going to go inside the contract, right? And then we click send the contract to the customer, and that's via DocuSign, where it gets them to sign it and everything.
Yeah. I'll take back the screen from Mason, and I'll actually show you some of the stuff. So, give me a second. I'm actually not logged in. All right. It'll just take me one moment. I'm logging in as a sales user real quick.
Okay.
And I'm going to start sharing my screen. All right. So the way this works is I got my help up first. I want to close this because I want to look at my dashboard. So I'm a sales user. I've got a sales dashboard with a sales pipeline and some other things. But what I want to be able to do is get into that pricing engine and that pricing console. What that allows me to do is, add my organizations. I want to find somebody who's already in this process, and that's Austin Hiking Company. So Austin Hiking Company, I've collected information, right? They've submitted that request a quote thing on your website or whatever. You've recorded some data. It's created a landing page for them in here so that you can get some basic information, track your activities, and it's creating what we call a pricing console. This pricing console allows the sales team member to record even additional information about this client, like how many employees are in specific states under specific types of workers' comp classes, to be able to automate and generate pricing based on whatever matrix you might use for the different service offerings you have. This example, I'm doing PEO with benefits. These are all definable by you. They're all customizable. You can make them whatever you want. The output of all of this will be proposal documents or CSAs that have the DocuSign integration. Right now, I'm actually at a point where it needs to be approved because I have a underwriting approval process tied to this. But up here would be a link that says send contract through DocuSign, and it would go to the prospect to sign. Once signed, it would actually automatically flip this to imminent implementation and begin that implementation process.
Where does the contract get filed once it's, processed through DocuSign? It comes back over here somewhere, or it's filed in Prism?
Exactly. And back through in here. Every company has what we call a collateral page associated with it, and that collateral page is where documents go. So like if you want to attach loss runs or like the actual contract, there's a difference between the unsigned, which are these two, and the executed, which would go here. So I just have blank documents in there, but like, for example, I want to open up a basic Exhibit A proposal document that was created through the system, right? It's creating things like this. This is one example. These are all made to fit and tailored to whatever it is that your proposal looks like, whatever your CSA looks like, right? It's essentially using a merge to take your template and populate it with data formatted the way that you want it to be formatted. And again, this is just one example of something like that. So
one of our
collateral
sales people, or actually our VP was asking, Bryce is here in the room now, so he was asking, can we customize fillable document on DocuSign? So is this tied to where we can either do it here or log into DocuSign and make some fillable boxes relevant to our contract? So if we have to have the customer type in some information, they could do that. I guess one thing is like banking information. We got to capture banking information. So how would they do that?
Good question. So I believe through DocuSign, you can have them fill out parts of it, not just capture a signature, but fill out additional fields. So for example, this is my example of a CSA. If I scroll down, I want them to fill out all of these details, right? You can have it, DocuSign, populate these fillable fields if that's what it actually was. In my use case, this is not a fillable form, but it could be.
Right. But are we like setting up a separate DocuSign account and somehow we're linking it to this, or how does that work to make all this come together with DocuSign?
Yes. So essentially, you'll have your DocuSign account, and they're linked through an API through like web services to be able to communicate directly with one another behind the scenes.
Do we have to pay to build that out, or is that
so
included?
Yeah, who's doing all the API connecting and everything else?
That's already done. So we've already built that integration. The only thing that you would have to have is that account with DocuSign.
So we have to set up our own DocuSign.
So we just go to DocuSign like we're a stranger, sign up for a DocuSign account, and then what do we do from there?
I'm not exactly sure on the exact steps you need to take, and I can get you that information. But there is
do you guys have like a guide or something, a user guide on how to get all this set up?
Absolutely. And our team works specifically with you to set this all up. And we do a lot of it on our own.
Okay. Gotcha.
So we're doing a lot of the work. We're training you how to do it as well. So part of the process of implementation is working with you and your team directly to understand your processes, build some of them out, and also teach you how to do it as we go. So it's what we call a guided setup, where we're teaching you to fish as well as getting work done.
Okay, makes sense. So then
you're not just gonna be like,
contract comes back signed, it's filled out, banking information, whatever. So now if we're back to our panel dashboard, whatever, and we're looking where there's a contract that came in, fully executed, does that automatically trigger all the parties involved that need to be notified if we built all our workflows properly to just get the team going immediately?
Yeah, it would, especially if you're using the implementation component. So for example, I just did one of these today. This company here is in implementation. What this does is once that contract comes back, it will update this project plan, this project milestones, assign all of these different things to the corresponding people, there are tasks or parts of the project assigned to all the right individuals. This is all pre-populated with all of your specific processes. This can be used to create things like Gantt charts. So for example, there's this Gantt chart here that's based on the project plan example that's in here, and you can use all of this to be able to manage all the work and the workflow associated with it. This is all happening automatically as the statuses change based on the contract being signed and coming back through DocuSign.
All right, so basically the ball's never dropped by the team because we've got our Gantt chart showing the progress line for everything that the team is working on. We can always have our finger on the pulse.
Yep, exactly. That you use the little pun that we like to use also. It's like the point of Pulse is for you to be able to do that, right? To look at what's going on top, from a top down or bottom up, regardless. You'll be able to run reports to show all of the outstanding components of this workflow, to see specifically who has the ball, right? Who's not moving on, and be able to find out where those blockers are and be able to address them.
All right, so, and just thinking in the terms of the Gantt chart and how all that works, with the team, it could be where it has to be where the workflow is assigned to one person, that person has to finish before the wand is handed off to the next person, and that's where we can almost see with the Gantt chart the timeline and if someone's delaying the game.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
And it's done through what we call, so in this project plan concept, there are 3 levels. For example, the top level is the milestone. The second level below that is the case, and then below the case would be the task. So you could have 3 main things that as part of one milestone. Those could be represented. Those 3 things could be represented by the case. Each case could have 10 steps, and each one of those steps could be assigned to different people as a task, right? And that way you can control, those 30 things for that one phase of the project, and see where they're all at. The way I just described is probably. Sorry?
Yeah, for our sales team, if we develop a sales team across the country and we have hundreds of sales people working for us remotely out of their living rooms or whatever, how does it work where obviously we control how much they have in this thing, so we can pretty much build it all out, and then all they could do is just follow the process on all that?
Exactly. So through user security, you can control what they can and can't do. Can they only just input some data, and then that gets automatically submitted up to a manager to approve it and go through the underwriting process? Or do they have more ability to edit pricing or see pricing at all? It's really up to you to define how you want it to go.
And if they're editing pricing, we can give them a range, correct? We can say,
exactly.
Well, you can't edit it more than 10% up or down or something. Okay.
Exactly. Your discount threshold is no more than 10%. Something along those lines. There's also a broker, like a PEO broker portal as well. So if you've got someone referring you business outside of your organization, and
we have a
access
PEO broker company here in Southern California that's going to be marketing this for us.
So then you can give them access, right, to enter in the basics of the deal, to hand it off to you to run that component. This could also track commissions based on that as well. So if I'm, where am I? I want to go in here, close this. There's this commission details. So in my example, I'm tracking commissions for my internal salespeople as well as my PEO broker. So I can drill into the PEO commission calculation and see, we're giving them 15% of projected profit.
So this will do like a commission report. So when it's payday, we can run payroll. And is this all tied in so that way they just automatically get paid like everything else on the Prism system?
Yeah, unfortunately the commission component is not automatically tied in. That would be something that you probably would want to send off to your accounting team or whatever just to confirm. But yeah.
So we have to manually enter their commissions into our payroll.
As of today, yes.
Mm.
Are you working on something?
You know what, Patrick? That might not of a problem though.
What?
Because then at least it gives us some little checks and balances.
Okay. So
Right?
you don't
So to
want
see
it
at least that first.
meeting.
Well, no, I would say down the road it would be nice.
I figured a part of the workflow is supervisor approves whatever the sales are by the salesperson, and then obviously if they approve it, then it would be, added to payroll or something. I mean,
Right.
It seems like it would make common sense.
No, it'd definitely be cool if it integrated or, if it was all connected. But at least we have another thing for like a checks and balances just to make sure all the numbers match up. But
yeah, I hear you.
We are working on pushing more integrations between different components of the whole system. To be honest, this commission automation is probably lower on that priority list. Even though it would be helpful, it's still probably not as high of impact as some of the other things that we're working on. So
cool. What else we got?
Can you tell us what are some of the other things you guys are working on?
Absolutely.
Like that.
So there are probably two really big components. Right now is that, we acquired the company that built this at the end of last year. So clearly it is a different user interface, it's a different user experience. One of the big projects that we're working on is blending them together so that you don't really feel like you're bouncing back and forth between two things. Right now, it's a different screen than Prism, so we're working on pushing them together. We're working on consolidating some of this to make it a little bit easier to use and to navigate through quicker. Another big project that we're working on is the implementation module can actually push data that's been collected into Core Prism to set up your clients. But right now it's kind of limited just to like basic company information. But what we're working towards is to be able to set up all your billing detail, the billing rules in Prism, set up all the benefit plan details in Prism as well by just pushing a button and sending it through the API to build that all out.
When do you expect that'll all be ready?
It'll be done in phases. So there'll be parts released throughout 2019 that will...
So they're working on this stuff right now?
Yeah, different components of all that is being worked on right now, yes.
All right.
Historically, another thing is historically the administration of this was designed by engineers, not so much by user experience designers. So it's very kind of like this, where we're looking at a grid of just boxes. We're trying to work it to make it more user friendly to be an administrator, to set it up and make that process easier and more streamlined.
All right. Was that the third thing you wanted to tell us, or did you have some other component that you were talking about that's coming soon? Is that it?
So those are the main components.
Okay. All right. So what did we miss on the sales management side of things? And now my question also, before you answer that, is now that we kind of got our demo of Pulse and Sense, how quickly is sales management going to be released so we can use it?
Oh, sales management's been released. It's a matter of the implementation process of building it out with you.
All right.
So you've been working with Jessica and with Lorinda, right?
No, for our implementation is Curtis and Jackie.
Sheila,
Okay.
Jackie was onboarding. Sheila's the implementation manager.
Okay. All right, great. So the first step is always you have to roll out the core component, which is that first part of the demo that we went through. And then once that's up and running is when you can add on any of the other modules like the sales or implementation. So I can have the team give you the specifics and talk through that. I don't necessarily have all those details, unfortunately.
All right, we got Bryce that can start right away on spearheading the build out of the sales management component side of things. So do we need somebody who's more of like I guess, on the other end of workflows. Is this involving the whole team because there's so many different workflows that can be triggered from that, or can we handle this in pieces and sections, this project?
You could probably handle it in pieces and sections, but I guess the implementation team can give you a better answer than I would be able to based on their experience of actually working with our customers to roll it out.
Yeah. So you guys are just demoing it today, and then basically we got to have the implementation team circle back around with us to start building this thing?
Exactly.
All right. So we got to get with them to figure out how soon they can start building with us, or what do you think?
Yeah, I will reach out to them and give them a recap of our call today, and then have them reach out to you directly.
All right. Yeah, make sure that Bryce is included in those emails, and then that way he can kind of be in charge of making sure that this, everybody's moving along with getting this thing progressing over the next week. All right?
All right.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Anything else, or we pretty much got the grand tour?
You pretty much got the high-level flyover. There's a lot more details that will make sense as you go through the implementation process to customize it. I didn't drill into every nook and cranny, but you have the ability to really get granular with, quoting out benefits and projecting commissions and seeing the level of detail that can be used to utilize the sales component of Pulse.
All right.
We could pre-build in all of our pricing for quick turnaround quotes where we just plug in basic company data, how many employees they have, what their whatever percentage fees or whatever we're doing, and then it should automatically calculate the quote pretty quickly. How fast can we get a proposal out from start to finish?
Depending on how complicated the client details are, like if it's one location in California with just 8810s, probably 2 or 3 minutes, depending how fast you can type. So it is pretty quick. It's essentially what you're doing is you're entering in state, comp code, pay frequency, gross payroll, number of employees, and that's it. So if you've got just one combination of all,
we have we have 4 rate tiers. So how do we choose what rate tier we're billing them at?
Generally speaking, that's defined by what contract type you're using. So in my example, I've got these 4 essentially rate tiers. They're defined this way because that's the way our system we set it up as a demo account. It could be PEO tier 1, PEO tier 3, whatever it is, and you just select what it is and be able to then have the default pricing for those tiers.
All right.
It's going to take the combination of what states people are in that you're entering in down here, and determine what that rate should be, which entity, if you're managing multiple PEOs, it should be in, determining comp based on this combination of states, right? All that.
But literally our proposal, if we have all of our group benefit rates entered in the system, let's just say for Blue Shield, and we've got rates plugged in for state of California. So then if we have the rates for the state of California for 3 common Blue Shield plans, we can click those and add them to the proposal for however many people they have on their census or something?
Yep, so I just click on benefits batch, and I can say I've got my three existing plans. Here's my one for my Aetna PPO. I've got in my basic data. I want to include this one on the plan. I can do that. So I want to say I want to add plans to the batch or create a new one. I can add it in manually or select from my list of already created plans. Like these are my 5 master policies that I have available to choose from. I want to say I want to select this one and add it on to the proposal. We actually have tiered pricing in here as well for the benefits. So right now they're in the C tier. I can say maybe they should be on the A tier and switch it and add this to be able to compare on the proposal.
So quick question, don't know if you guys will answer this. So benefits module apparently is being snapped in after this module. And we're curious to know, is there like libraries of rates that is coming with the benefits module? So that way if we wanted to use those to be over here, or how does all that work for rates?
Or do we have to manually input the rates in by hand?
Unfortunately, I'm not in the loop yet of what is all in the benefits reconciliation module that's coming down the road.
All right, so you're not pulling from anything. You're manually typing in all your rates over here for this demo then, I guess.
Today, yes, yeah. This has all been manually entered or imported. It's not always necessarily keyed in manually. It could be imported manually, but it's not being derived from some other system.
Okay.
Well, I like it. I think that's cool.
Yeah. All right, guys. So
All
you recorded the call, right? So
yeah. So
if you could go ahead and send us
absolutely. I'll send it to everybody on the invite. I'll send it through like a Google Drive shared folder.
Yeah, because Kurt built a Google Drive for us, WKP Google Drive. I don't know if you have access to it. There's already 4 videos out there if you want to just add it to that one.
All right, I'll do that. So I'll have to ask Kurt for access, and then he'll grant me access, and I'll dump it in there. This is going to take a little while to convert, so it'll probably be sometime tomorrow where I'll be able to get this out and add it to that file, that folder.
Sounds good. Thank you, Will and Mason. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
No problem at all.
All right, take care.
Have a good night. Bye.